Let me see, we on? Mic check. Hey, what's up, y'all? And welcome to the 25th episode of Trippin with Theobold. I'm your host, Dre-Theo for all my new listeners. The show is called Trippin with Theobold because I trip literally and I trip figuratively. All right, let me go and explain that right quick, right? So I literally trip on my words, you know what I'm saying? Because I grew up with a speech impediment, you know what I'm saying? And it's like not all the way gone, so there's like still some hiccups in there, you know what I'm saying? But whenever I have a hiccup, I'm not gonna edit it out. I'm not gonna cut it out. I'm just gonna acknowledge it and move on. So you'll hear me say, "Come on, Dre." So when you hear me say, "Come on, Dre," that means that I had a little hiccup and I just acknowledged it and I moved on, you know? And also, I trip figuratively in thought, right? Meaning that I have a lot of crazy ideas. I have a very unconventional way of thinking. And it is what it is. So welcome to the 25th episode of Trippin with Theobold. Before we get going any further, make sure you guys hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. You know what I'm saying? Tell a friend to tell a friend. What else you got going on? Right now, I believe I am at Reggie Gilliam number. No. Right now, I am at Eric Smedley number of followers. Right. So if you guys follow me at all, you guys know that I am a Buffalo Bills fan. Right. So Eric Smedley was a safety for the Buffalo Bills in the late 90s, early 2000s, and he wore the number 40. So I have 40 subscribers right now. So right now I'm at Eric Smedley number of followers, and I'm trying to get to Reggie Gilliam number of followers. Reggie Gilliam is the current fullback for the Buffalo Bills, and he wears number 41. So tell a friend and tell a friend. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, hit that sub button, hit that like button. Come on, Dre. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. You know what I'm saying? Do all that fun stuff. But if you guys notice, I made a little change up. I had a secret listener say, "Hey man, his room looks boring," and we want to be entertained, I guess, right? So I took some time, did some research. I was gonna film this in Zoom, because Zoom has the virtual background and all that stuff. But when I played it back or when I did a sample, it got real choppy. Like it's like there's a huge delay. It looks real choppy. This isn't as clean as I want it, but it's a good start. Because me, I'm all about progress. You guys saw where I started. Shit, I didn't even have a name for this podcast like almost half a year ago. Now look at us. We got a name. We up here flowing and glowing. I got a title. I got clip art. I do the promos. I do everything, man. So, we're gonna keep building. So right now, as you can see, right now I'm using OBS software. I took a few minutes or about an hour to just kind of go through and figure out how OBS works and how all these layers work, and it's pretty easy to manipulate layers and stuff. You just have to kind of think ahead and plan ahead. So yeah, that's where we're at right now. Welcome to the new and improving, ever growing Trippin with Theobold. Okay, so as y'all know, I like to do some promo stuff up front, just to let people know about stuff that I like to buy, or if I have a friend that's like putting out some product, I want to make sure I plug them. So let me go ahead and start with some of the merch. So shout out to my brother DC Irvin, man. DC Irvin, if you don't follow him on Instagram at DC Irvin Comedy. Let me just double check to make sure I got the handle right. Let me make sure. Yep, DC Irvin Comedy. Man, this dude is hilarious, man. He has like these little characters that he does on on IG. You know, he has this one guy. It's called Blur Snitch. Just look it up, man. That shit is hilarious. And this is one of his, not really a character, but it's like a game or like a persona. It's called Prove It. And basically, anytime you have like crazy infomercials that say it's gonna do something, or this product is gonna do something like crazy, he puts it up there, and then his whole thing is he watches the advertisement of the video, and then he kind of goes in and is like, yeah, nah, I don't think that's gonna do that, you know, prove it, right? So then they'll have people go out, and what that does is people will go out, someone might go out and buy the product and be like, yeah, it doesn't do it. So that's a real funny concept. But he came out with this hat the other night, and they sold like hotcakes, man. So I got mine. Just follow him on Instagram, you know, and whenever he has a new sale of something that's going to drop, you're going to see it. But I think he sold out of all of his beanies. So shout out to my brother, DC Urban. Also shout out to my man, Tony Baker. I ordered my Milton Cram hoodie. You know, fits dope, fits nice. You know, Tony Baker is another social media giant. You know, he's super creative on social media. Always has dope merch. Always has, you know, his whole thing, as you guys know, is he does the animal voiceovers, and Milton, or the Cram, is one of his staple characters. You know what I'm saying? So make sure you follow Tony Baker at Tony Baker on IG and all forms of social media. What else am I gonna plug? Oh, let me plug my boy, man, my man from college, man. Hold on, let me. I'm working this out right now, so bear with me. Here we go. My man Verb Tech. All right, my man Verb Tech is a dude I went to college with, like one of the first people I met when I went to Temple. We lived on the same floor at Temple. We lived in Peabody Hall, which is now gone. You know, it's a shame. But Peabody Hall, I met him moving in, met him and his pops. And Said was always like nice with like the lexicon, you know what I'm saying? Like he was always nice with the verbiage and the words, you know. So he's a rapper, you know. And in college, you know, he did a lot of shows, you know. But after college, like he's still like doing his art, man. Like he's really putting out quality hip hop, man. Quality beats, man. Quality bars. Like it's a dope package, man. And I have all of his stuff, you know. But right now on what is it? On Spotify, you can go check out his 2 albums that I think he has out there right now. Like the one he put out before this one, which is called No Struggle, No Progress. This one just came out like a few days ago. I think he also released it on Bandcamp, I believe. But before this one, it was The Freedom Papers, you know. And he always has a dope message in his bars or in his music. Everything is like very very well thought out. Very talented brother, man. You know, like his music moves you, you know. So if y'all get a chance, man, go to Spotify, take a listen, man. Trust me, this joint will wake you up, you know. So shout out to my good brother Verb Tech and Vanderslice. I never met Vanderslice before, but any friend of Verb Tech is a friend of mine, man. So Verb Tech does the beats, and I'm sorry, no, Vanderslice does the beats. Verb Tech is the rapper. It's a dude I know from college, you know. So yeah, y'all gotta check that out, man. It's gonna wake your soul up. You know what I'm saying? And this was a timely album for me because, as we'll get into later on in the show, you'll see that I'm kind of going through a struggling time right now. You know, I'll get into it later, but you know, when I heard this album, it woke me up, and it got me off my ass. You know, like I'm not feeling bad about myself. It's like, you know, I'm disappointed, but And nigga, no struggle, no progress. You know what I'm saying? So make sure y'all go give it a listen. You know what I'm saying? And just follow him on social media and make sure you check out all of his content, man. Because if you find anything from Verb Tech, man, I'm telling you, it's gonna be fire. All right. So yeah, bear with me. I'm still learning how to work this. Just give me a second. No, I'm about to move this over here. Let me go ahead and do this, so I don't have to keep worrying about where stuff is at. And I'll even make this a little bit bigger, and I'll do that. Boom. There we have it. So hope y'all don't see the lines on the joint when I put the video out, but whatever, no struggle, no progress, right? So what else we got going on here, man? Let me put this back here. So let's go ahead and think that's all I wanted to really plug for today. So yeah, let me go ahead and get into let me just go ahead and get into some of this stuff. So as y'all know, like I said before, I'm a Buffalo Bills fan. I've been a Bills fan since the early 90s when I was a tot. And let's go ahead and talk about these niggas right quick, man. Let's talk about these damn Bills, yo. So, yeah, man. I don't know if y'all can see that or not. Let me come with it. No, don't do that. Okay, so as y'all look, I want to make sure I got the Buffalo Bill background so y'all know what I'm talking about. And I'm not just talking crazy. Okay, here we go. That's a little better. So as y'all know, I'm a Bills fan, and like we are spiraling down. We're spiraling out of control. Like we're spiraling. Like pretty much the season is over, man. We have to win out, and if we win out, we'll probably end up like 10-7 or what is it, 11-7 or some shit. So we have to win out. We can't lose anything else. But man, the Bills are looking shitty right now, man. And it all started with the Colts a few weeks ago, right? Because the Colts exposed us. Well, let me get a sip of water right quick, because my throat's getting a little parched. So it all started with the Colts, right? They let Jonathan Taylor run all up and down the crack of their ass. You know what I'm saying? They fed this dude, scored 5 touchdowns, and we had no answer for him. So every week, teams were coming back like, oh, y'all can't stop the run? Cool. And they just kept running at us, So we ran into the Patriots on Monday Night Football, 2 weeks ago, and these motherfuckers threw the ball 3 times. How the hell you let a team beat you while only throwing the ball 3 times? And they didn't complete 3 passes. These niggas threw 3 passes. So I think he may have completed 1 pass attempt. You know what I'm saying? So we couldn't stop the run, and then we couldn't run the ball because all we want to do is throw. And it's funny, man, but Buffalo got what we wish for, And this is no shade to Josh Allen. Josh Allen is a dope quarterback, and I think he'll figure it out. I think he'll get it together along with the rest of the team. But I remember the big thing they said when we had Tyrod Taylor and when we had E.J. Manuel and when we had Thad Lewis, all the black quarterbacks. I remember when we had the little black quarterback era. I think it was Jim Kelly that came out. Jim Kelly was like, we need us a nice, big, tall quarterback that's big, that can throw the ball, that can cut through the wind of the cold air of Western New York during the playoff games, right? And that's Josh Allen. Josh Allen can throw that ball through anything, But that's not enough, right? You got to be able to run the ball, and you got to be able to stop people from running the ball. Basic fundamental football, Basic fundamental football. So they ran the ball down our throats, and then we put up a good fight against the Buccaneers in Tampa Bay, But the referees, man, here's the thing, right? The referees did get that game away, my man Stephon Diggs, every time you looked at this dude on the screen, his jersey was pulling away from his body, because they knew they let him loose, he was going to eat him up, and the refs didn't call pass interference like that, And the first half was looking ugly, we looked like we were going to get ran through, especially after that Leonard Fournette, 35, 40-yard touchdown. So, Yeah, man. So, but we came back and fought back in the second half. But what people don't realize is that we have a running game, but it's not what we want it to be. Our running game has been Josh Allen. Last season, Josh Allen was our running back, and Singletary was our third down back. Well, Singletary and Moss are like our third down backs. If we gotta like throw the ball out the backfield or something, but Josh Allen is our running back. So to me, in that game against the Colts, like why didn't we? My thing is we are what we are. We're not a we were so we're a team that's built to beat the Chiefs in the shootout. We're not a team that's built to you know do the whole milk train to pay dirt. You know what I'm saying? Like that's not our identity. You know. So to me, I'm like, you saw Buffalo try to commit to the run with the running backs, but then we couldn't move the ball and we kept punting and then giving the ball away, and then the Colts would just run through us, right? So I'm like, why not use Josh Allen? I mean, here's the thing. Ideally, I get it. You don't want to use Josh Allen as your running back because you just paid this man all this money and you don't want him to get hurt and or like have a career-ending injury. You know what I'm saying? So I get it, but that's what we are. You know, so that's why I'm kind of like that's why I'm kind of like, you know what? Let's go ahead and just put the backups in for the rest of the season, see who we gonna cut for next year, and then morph our offense to where we have a strong running game to go along with it. 'Cause I think that defense and offense goes hand in hand. A lot of times if you can run the ball and can control the clock, that's your best defense as well too, because you're giving your defense a chance to rest. You know, so in that Colts game, if we just ran Josh Allen more, and could move the ball, I think our defense would have been more rested up to stop Jonathan Taylor more. But the fact that every time they turn around, if we're going 3 and out, it turned into a track meet, and we're not built for that. So we got exposed on offense, which exposed our defense. But I don't know. I think the fix is in, man. I think everybody wants to see a Brady versus Belichick bowl, and it's probably gonna be 3 of them motherfuckers, yo. It's probably gonna be the Brady Belichick bowl for like 3 years. That's what's gonna happen, yo. You're not gonna sit up here and have like the 2 most iconic people in football and not meet up in the Super Bowl, But the fix is in. You could tell by how they were calling the game. In Tampa, right? And then Leonard Fournette did not get that first down. Like, I don't see how you give someone an inch when their progress is stopped behind the line of scrimmage, right? I don't see how you measure that out. There's no technology, there's no laser, nothing that can cut through that shit to see where the ball was. If you blew the whistle and he didn't, like, my thing is this, right? They need to get rid of that inches shit, Like, you need to move the line of scrimmage forward by a yard. If you don't get that yard, you don't get that inch. Just real simple. Like cut the bullshit. You know what I'm saying? Because it's real hard for a defense to even do that. So to me, it's like they're just catering to the offense in the football league. But whatever. And my bad. I call this Ralph Wilson Stadium. That's like 2 stadium names ago. It used to be called New Era Field. Now we're Highmark Field. So I just wanted to make sure I make that correction. I don't want to mislabel things. And also too, this is an old picture because those little chimney things with the Buffalo Bill logo on it, like those are black now, right? And they light up, so you can see the Bills logo from afar. So anywho, enough of the Buffalo Bills talk, man. These dudes are making me sick. But to be honest, here's the thing, right? I'm not gonna say I don't want to see us do our best. But when you go to the Super Bowl and you lose, man, them shits hurt. I want to make sure that when we go, we're ready to go. Like I don't want there to be no question. I want it just to be we line up and it's a no-brainer who you picking for the Super Bowl, and we smash whoever we go through. On the other side, we could pull a mid-2000s New York Jets, right, where the Jets were like basically a 500 team. They weren't that good in the regular season, but then towards the last 3 games of the season, they got hot. And when they got hot, they just started running through teams in the playoffs, and then they beat Brady in the Super Bowl, So I wouldn't mind doing that one year, but I don't want that to be the identity of my team, because we're always going to have this, oh, well, we don't need to play hard for the regular season, and we can just always aim to get a wild card. So we're either gonna be real shitty, or we're gonna be real marginal, and when we go, we just gotta hope that we get hot, And I don't like. I mean, it's cool that the Giants did that, but it's kind of like they were like a flash in the pan. Like they were here and then they were here and they left, right? And they didn't build on anything from there. And I think I don't know. That's just my thought, but. Anyway, we get a Super Bowl win. That's all I care about. But trust me, I do not want to go to these Super Bowls and lose, man, because I'll take this whole damn iMac and throw this shit out the window. Now, I won't do that. That's too much bread. But, you get the point. I'm gonna break something, because that's just insult to injury, So, anywho, what else we got going on, man? Let's go ahead and get into some daily fantasy sport talk. So, here we are, some daily fantasy sports. So last week was a crazy week for me, okay? Like I did some crazy shit, right? That's why this show is called Trippin with Theobold, because I be tripping, right? So what I did for 1 week, I just wanted to see for myself, is I y'all gonna laugh at this shit. I maxed out my lineups, right? So instead of like putting $1 down to do the tier lineups, I think I started off with like a dime, and I played like 20 lineups for like $2, and I just didn't play. Like the first time I did it, what I did was I created a spreadsheet, I created a spreadsheet, and I came up with all the combinations of. I just basically tried. Well, the first thing I did was I tried to just like really commit to picking. I gotta fix this right quick. This isn't looking good. Hold on a second. There we go. So I really wanted to just commit, because of the thing, right? In tiers, in NBA tiers, or in any tier sports of fantasy sports, tier 1 is going to basically be no more than 4 players, right? And they're going to be the 4 best players in that sport. And as you go down the tiers, it's like a Christmas tree, right? So when you get down to like tier 3, you'll be picking like anywhere between 5 and 6 players, and then when you get down to tier 6 or the bottom tiers, you're gonna pick between like 6 to 8 players. So I told myself, you know what? Let me go ahead and look at the data. I analyzed the data, and the data told me, that Giannis Antetokounmpo was gonna be the best pick. So I picked Antetokounmpo. I picked Giannis in all 20 of my lineups. But then I did that, and if you do the math, it increases your probability of being able to pick more players to play along with, Giannis. So, man, I picked this motherfucker, man, and I was at the gym. I was like always like I was babysitting my lineups, man. Right before his game came on, he said he ain't playing, so he sat out. So, I think I may have won I won like $2 back or something like that. But the shit that really made me mad was the first place winner. I had him beat in all of the other tiers. I had this dude beat from tiers 2 through 8. But because Giannis ain't want to play, I had to take 0 points for that. You know what I'm saying? So I think I would have won off of that. I would have won like $200 off of that, right? And my whole thing was if I won that $200. Now I'm going to take the same strategy and I'm going to apply that to the next strategy, right? So I was going to take that, but then do $21 lineups, right? And then play for the $600 pot, right? And then just keep moving up. That was my plan. So the more I kept doing it, I actually said, you know what? I don't want to put all my eggs in one basket. So let me go ahead. Come on, Dre. So I said I didn't want to put all my eggs in one basket. So what I did was I said, you know what I'm going to do? I said, let me go ahead and pick, just combinations of everyone at the top, right? So I said, let me go ahead and break those up. So if you do the math, well, it wasn't so much like a clean breakage, right? It wasn't like I was going to do 5 lineups per tier 1 player. It was more of I was going to say, I said to myself, whoever the most probable is, I'm going to play 10 lineups with them. And then for the second player, I was going to probably pick like 4 or whatever it is, but I'm going to give myself a chance with all players, right? When you do that, what happens is you kind of spread yourself thin, you know. So, man, I had my spreadsheets going. I looked at the line star data, and what I did with the line star data was I looked at the relative rankings, right? So I took the relative rankings of each player, you know, and then I looked at how they scored. Come on, Dre. I looked at their relative ranking, and I looked at how they scored per their relative ranking. And when I did that, I took the average of their fantasy point production per per ranking, right? So instead of just taking their average, I looked at like, okay, they're projected. I looked at their projection. I didn't look at the projection, sorry. I looked at the relative ranking of who they were playing against that day. And then I looked at the corresponding relative rankings for what they did for the whole season, right? Or for this whole past season. And Line Star makes it pretty easy, right? Like basically they'll let you know if the opponent that they're going against, if it's green, yellow, or red. Red means it's a tough opponent or top ranked opponent in that category, or in that position. And then green means it's easy, yellow is like medium, right? So I just basically said, you know what? I want to see how these players perform with respect to the relative ranking of who they're ranked against that night, right? So I did all that, right? And then I took it a step further and said, okay, I want to look at relative ranking and home and away, right? So, for example, if James Harden was playing, I don't know, let's say the Golden State Warriors, right? Like it's possible that, you know, his relative ranking for that night would have been red, right? And if he's playing him at home, okay, now I'm going to look at all the red homes that he played against in the past, you know? So I did that, you know, created a spreadsheet, looked at all the averages or whatever and stuff. And, you know, I did that. And then I looked at, then I looked at the overall like fantasy average or whatever. Then I looked at the median of each of the tiers, you know, both for the relative ranking and for the overall ranking, right? And then I looked at what else? So I was doing all this shit. Long story short, I was doing all this shit, which was like a lot of work. It took maybe it took like an hour to do, but that's like an hour. That's a lot. It's a lot of like busy work, right? Like while I'm on the phone, I can do this stuff, like talking to friends or whatever. And I did all this, and then I then I did the random drawings too, right? Because I said, you know what, I want to put an element of randomness in there. So I have an app that lets me like create a seed or create, you know, a range, and then from that range I can, you know, randomly select like numbers through there, and that's what I did for that, right? So I did this for like all last week. Didn't win a goddamn dime, you know, all this work, you know what I'm saying? But what I did learn though was all the categories that I broke things into and built my lineups on. Those were like the corners or the boundaries of the lineups, right? Like, and those, basically, what I learned from doing that is that those little like segments are like perfect, right? So what I learned from doing this is you can't like look at one statistical category and expect to have everything line up neatly in a statistical category, right? So the way to do it is, which I was gonna do, but I was like, nah, I'm not doing this anymore. I mean, I might do it again for like, well, I had other things going on, so I couldn't do it. But basically what I learned was, however I picked those players, like all your lineups, basically you should weed out those lineups that I came up with because they were like way to the left. So I'm like, oh, this is easy. So this is these players are way, so the shit can't be too neat is what I'm saying. You know, like from a statistical analysis perspective, like you can't like just look at like clean, crisp categories that everything fits into for all players through all tiers, right? So so what I was gonna do, or what I should do, is come up with those 20 lineups and then pick everyone around those lineups, right? But DraftKings makes this shit really hard. And this is where DraftKings can do better. Okay, DraftKings. So if you're listening to me, DraftKings, you can do better with this. Okay. Their app right now to me is like there's some cool parts to their app, but some parts of their app are real shitty. Like um, they finally improved to where they let you know if somebody's out in your lineup, right? So if you have a player that announced that they're hurt or they're out, it'll come up like as fast as it can, and you have to kind of watch to make sure before your tournament starts to sub that player out. But the other thing too that they do that sucks, man, is when you do like massive lineups, like when you do like 20, when you max out a lineup, right? Or when you do multiple lineups in a competition, they don't let you know, like, it's weird to explain, but it's hard to know what empty lineups you have left, right? Like, they should like number your lineups, and that way when you see it, you can just go back and say, okay, cool. Lineups 1 through 9 have been completed, but lineups 11 through 20 have not. All the shit is red, so you have to like kind of, and they don't sort it, right? So you have to kind of go through and peck each one, which takes time. And not like it doesn't take a crazy amount of time, but when you have to sub, let's say for example with like the time I subbed in or had Giannis Antetokounmpo in there, right? Let's say I had him in like 11 lineups. I have to search through 20 of my line. I have to search through all 20 of my lineups to find all instances of Giannis Antetokounmpo so I can actually, sub him out. And if you only have 5 minutes, if that news got announced 5 minutes before the contest starts, you're not gonna have enough time to go through to find where all your Giannis's are to sub him out. So that's a pain in the ass. So that's why I kind of stopped doing I stopped maxing out my tiers, because you do all this work and then they tell you 5 minutes before he's out, but then they also give you a shitty way how to go through. Like, you can't systematically go through and sub him out. The one cool thing they do with the app is you can import a lineup, right? So if you import a lineup, like the import screen, you can see all the variations of the different lineups that you've submitted. And when you do that, you're able to see if you submitted a lineup twice. So you never want to submit a lineup, like the same lineup, more than once, because basically what you're doing is you're decreasing your odds of winning at that point, right? So that's what I did last week. So this week, I'm back to playing tiers. I'm back to nickel and diamond. I'm just doing like one lineup a day. And I'm looking at just the averages, the overall averages, and I'm looking at just who's the better player, who's better, and I'm picking those guys, and then, but I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to I'm going to take one day, probably either over the weekend or next week, and I'm probably going to do what I did with the spreadsheet, so I know who not to pick. You know what I mean? So, anywho, that's what else did I do? So that's it for DraftKings or whatever. I want to go ahead and get to what I want to talk about, right? Because I need to really get this off my chest. So let me go ahead and do this right quick. Bear with me. Okay, where are we at? I think this is it. Okay, so let's get to what I'm gonna talk about, right? So last week, y'all probably heard me talk or whatever. And I kept saying I had a big show. It's like probably the biggest show of my life, coming up. So I did it's this comedy show in Hollywood called Chocolate Sundays. It's like one of the premier comedy shows in LA. Like, everyone's trying to get on this show. Like, the wait list to even get on to even hit the stage is like a 5-year wait, probably, because you have to, basically there's a virtual part of the show you have to do first. You have to clear that, and once you clear the virtual show, then You then get a date in the future for the main stage. And then when you get a date for the main stage, that's just the beginning, right? Because now you have to do well enough to either get asked back to do first impressions again or to do a grad spot. And then once you do a grad spot, you got to knock it out the park so you can then become part or become a regular in the lineup. So, so like maybe like 3 weeks ago, I went early to kind of just practice getting there early and making sure I know where. I mean, I know how to get there and do all that stuff. I know how to navigate myself, but I wanted to make sure that I basically give myself, come on, Dre. I basically wanted to make sure I gave myself the best chance to succeed, right? And when you're running around trying to do shit late and you're trying to like scramble, that's not really helping you out, right? So, so like 3 weeks before, I kind of went through to kind of do like a mental, to do some mental prep, and I got there and someone from First Impressions didn't show up, so they threw me up, you know, and I was nervous the first time I went up because I'm like, yo, like, I mean, I've been doing open mics and stuff, but I wasn't like, I knew what jokes I was gonna do anyway, but the fact that they threw me up was pretty like dope, you know. So or it was pretty like crazy. So I went up, I was relaxed, and it almost seemed too easy. Like it was just like I had fun. Like it was fun. All right, this was 3 weeks ago. All right, and then the main thing I wanted to make sure is I said, hey, look, do I still keep my 12/12 date? Right? Or better yet, I should have put the flyer up here. No, let me do that right quick. Let me actually put the flyer up here instead of that. Just bear with me for a second. I just have to where am I gonna find the flyer at? Oh, I know. Bear with me. Hold on 1 second. I don't know. I didn't think about this before. Being silly. Here it is. Yeah, I'm going to download this. Okay, how do I download this? 1 second, hold on. There we go. Let me do this. Why is it coming up? Okay, that's interesting. So let me take this and move this guy down out the way, and then let me do this. Here we go. Bear with me. Okay, that looks kind of ugly right now, but let me go ahead and do my magic right quick. There we go. Yeah, so there we go. So this is, I think, more appropriate, right? So let me get my notes back up so I can see what I'm talking about. Okay, here we go. All right, here we go. We're back. Okay, so anywho, so 3 weeks prior to this date, I think this was like the weekend after Thanksgiving, or the weekend. This was like Thanksgiving weekend. They threw me up, and I knew what jokes I knew the jokes I think I was gonna do, or I knew what I thought I was gonna do, and I thought about it enough. And when they threw me up, it was like fun. It was easy. Like it was fun. Like, I mean, it was like I had a good time. It almost seemed too easy, you know. And one of my main concerns was, one of my main concerns was the follow up, right? Because I did virtual first impressions back in like May or this was like back in March or something like that. And then when they had the competition, they put me in the competition in the bracket. And when they put me in the bracket, or whatever, like they said I murdered the first joint. Then the second one, I was like, okay, cool, right? I didn't do the same set. I came in there with new material, and I felt like my set was solid, but I mean, the audience voted the way they voted, and I lost, right? So I didn't get to advance, right? So that was kind of in the back of my head, like, oh shit, the first time I got up, it was easy. Now how am I going to follow this up, you know? And there's a thing, right? There's always room for improvement, but but overall, I just felt my throat's getting dry. Damn. But overall, you know what I'm saying? Overall, like I felt real good about my set. Like the first time I did it, like back in November, like I felt real good. Like I didn't think I killed, but I don't know. I felt like listening to the laughs, everything was solid, but my composure and my posture and just how I felt, I was like, man, this is easy, like, you know. But there was things like I left off a few tags on accident, and I kind of stumbled on my last joke a little bit, but all in all, like it felt good, you know. So with that being said, you know, this is where the comedy bump comes in, right? This is where like, you know, this was for the gusto, you know what I'm saying? So 12/12 was the date. Like I got bumped up. And overall, let me give you my overall assessment. So overall, I give myself a 4 out of a 10. All right? Like I'm not happy with my set that I did on 12/12. I got laughs, you know, but something weird happened, man. Like I just felt like when I was on stage, like everything was good. Like right when I felt good. So let me just tell you what happened, right? So I went up, there was no music, or I got brought up to no music, and that's fine. You know, that's, you know, I'm not there to listen to music. I'm there to get up there and shit. Laughter is a music. You know what I'm saying? So when it comes to joke, I don't care what you bring me up to, you know. So I called that out and got a laugh. Went into my first bit, and like I could feel the momentum going up. Like I was like, okay, I got him again. And then as I got to my first major punchline and my first joke, I could feel the punchline evaporating from my memory. Like it felt like it was like I haven't felt that. Like I felt like I was gonna forget that punchline. And I did these jokes so many times. I even did it on the show like 3 weeks ago, no problem, you know. But I felt like, you know, that joke was like, and it got real ugly because when I got to the punchline, I almost blanked on it. Or I almost blanked on that punchline. And if I would have blanked on that punchline, it would have been hard for me to recover during my set. And I kind of felt myself, it kind of felt like 2008, you know, like back in 2008 when I first started doing comedy, like seriously. I remember being at an open mic in Iowa where they had like 60 or 70 people, audience members in the room. And I had the confidence, had the swag, but then everything just left my memory. Just forgot, you know? And I was mad, you know? It was weird. It was like, that was like a freeze up. Like I froze up like, next time, I'm gonna see if I can't find that video and play it for y'all. But I froze up like Eminem and 8 Mile, man. Like I just couldn't, it's like my mind and my body just shut down. Like I couldn't think of a sound. Like it was like, okay, shit, you forgot your punchline. Oh shit. Well, okay, how do sentences work? Oh shit. How do words work? Oh shit. How do sounds work? Right? And then I was up there for like a minute and a half of just silence, and then I put the mic in the mic stand and got off stage. So that was like huge. Like that was like back like when I first started back in '08. And then that same year, I don't know how I did this, but I booked a show to where I hosted for Michael Blackson in Iowa, and I was trying out all these jokes for the whole for 2 months. You know, I wasn't working them out at open mics. I wasn't working these jokes. I was working these jokes out in my mirror every morning. And when I got to the open mic, those nerds, or when I went to the show to host and to open, I didn't remember one punchline. And the shit was funny because I kept playing it off as like, yo, I'm gonna set y'all up with no punchline. But it was embarrassing because I wanted to get the punchline out, but it just wasn't there. Like, I mean, the joke was written, right? It's not like I'm going up there like freestyling, but it's like the jokes were written, the punchline was there, but I just couldn't remember the shit. You know what I'm saying? So that almost happened to me this past Sunday. And I was like, yo, like I almost felt myself like melting down, yo, because I worked way too hard to get to this, to put up, to not put up. You know what I'm saying? So, so let's talk about what went wrong, right? So let me leave the cap off because I think the cap is messing with my sound. But what went wrong? So first off, I came up to no music, but that was a non-factor. Like I said, like it wasn't expected, but I came up to no music. But I made that funny, you know. I think the first thing I said was, "Okay, cool. I'm coming up to no." I said, "No music, cool," and I just slammed the mic stand down, and people started laughing, right? And I got right into my joke. Then me and the host that hosts First Impressions, me and him are like, you know, we've been doing comedy like since like, well, he's newer than me, but we've been doing comedy like since like 2016, 17. And like we had we worked out a secret handshake or whatever. And I kind of like stumbled through the handshake a little bit, but we got it, you know. But that's a minor issue. Like that wasn't like a major big deal, you know, because we just learned the handshake maybe like a week ago, or 2 weeks ago. But it's minor. Like that was nothing. But the major thing that went wrong was I almost blanked on one of my major punchlines, man. And I've done this joke 1,000 times in shows, open mics. I did it 3 weeks ago at Chocolate Sundays when they threw me up. And but that first one that came up, man, I was about to blank. Like I'm like, I can feel myself racing. Like, oh shit, what's the punchline? What's this? Okay, what's the sentence? Okay, boom. And then instead of just having it be empty, I said something, and then while I said something, I was able to kind of come back and mush out the punchline for what it should have been, and it still got a laugh. It wasn't like it was bad, but it's like it's easy. It's an easy punchline, and it's just one of those things where when you hit it and stand on it, you can hear the audience. It goes from here to here. But instead, it was like I was here, and then it kind of went, okay. So then after that, I was like, wow, if I forgot that, what else am I gonna forget? Like that's what my mind said. It said, if you're gonna forget that, what else are you gonna forget, nigga? So every joke, it was like the pressure was like mounting. Like it was like, yo, do you remember the setup? Of course. Okay, we got the setup. Okay, here comes the punchline again, nigga. And I got all the punchlines out, but you could tell on my facial expression that I was uncomfortable because I felt that shit getting ready to unravel. Like that shit was gonna be bad. That shit was gonna be like it was gonna be one of them things where like the pressure would have been like, you know, like you know how like a snake like constricts, you know? It's like the more I tried to fight, the more it was gonna like squeeze, you know? So the good thing I did was I relaxed, but I relaxed and fought back. I wasn't tense when I fought back, but I was relaxed internally, but still my body language and just the shock and the fear on my face, it was weird because I feel like if I was at like another show, I would have bombed, you know? But here it's like the fact that my jokes are written to a point where there's a setup and there's a punchline, there's a clear place to laugh. It's like, you know, people were like you could tell people were listening to the jokes here, you know, where I feel like when the room is more intimate, I feel like when the room is more intimate, they're watching your whole body language. So if you don't smile and it looks like you're not having a good time, even though the jokes are dope, they're not gonna laugh with you. But with Chocolate Sundays, it's like super positive. Like it's like, they the audience is there ready to laugh, So if you have a halfway decent joke, they'll laugh at that shit. You know what I'm saying? But anyways, I looked at some of the still shots from my last set, and it's funny because I knew right where I almost broke the fuck down. Like I saw photos when I first came out. I'm on stage, whoop de whoop, and then right after I got I got through that first joke, you can kind of see my body language. Like everything's looking down. I look uncomfortable. I look uncertain. It's like I'm questioning myself. Jokes are still coming out. People are still laughing, but you could tell, like internally, it was like, yo, something's going on. So what else happened? My rhythm. So as an effect of my first punchline, it went, but as a result of me not sticking my first punchline the way I normally hit it, I feel like that threw off my rhythm. So now it's like I'm trying to kind of get back in my rhythm, and now it's like I'm trying to rush the punchlines out because I'm afraid I'm going to forget them. So you could kind of tell that the punchlines weren't naturally coming out the way I wanted them to. It was kind of like, here it is, nigga, catch. But I had the setup, but it was like, there's a cadence and there's a flow to where you go and deliver these punchlines to where the shit is like more effective. So those were the things that went wrong. So my fears now, right? Like I'm afraid that in my head I've created a phobia. I feel like when I do open mics or do shows that don't have pressure, I feel like that's when I shine, and that's when I do my best. But when a show matters and it's like an audition or if it's a showcase, I feel like I'm gonna have this phobia of like let's call it Buffalo Bills phobia, right? Because these motherfuckers would fuck up in the Super Bowl and shit, and it was always like at a certain point where shit will start to unravel, So I look at regular shows and open mics like regular season, and I look at when I'm there, I'm relaxed and I'm playing. But when like it's the Super Bowl or if it's something that really means a lot, I feel like I put that extra pressure on myself, and as a result, I fuck up, or I put myself in a situation to fuck up. So what I have to do is I'm going to get down to like some lessons learned and things that I learned from this. But what I think I have to do is, one, I got to keep fighting. I got to keep, going through the process. This is part of the process, no, right? No struggle, no progress, right? So this is part of the process, is overcoming this, and it's weird. It's like, you don't want to, it's like, at the end of the day, you gotta be real with yourself. Like your body knows, that this is a big deal, but how do you tell the players in the NFL that, hey, the Super Bowl is just another game, and you just gotta go out there and go play it, So I think that works when you play at a certain level in the regular season, but if you know that you have slip ups, you just can't treat it like a regular, I guess, like, what I'm saying is weird. So, but now my fear is that I'm really in my head right now, where I'm like, I'm going to do these shows, I'm going to do open mics, and everything will be hunky-dory, everything will be fine. But when it gets to something that matters, like where I'm auditioning for something, or it's a showcase, or there's like someone in the crowd that really matters, I just feel like I now have this phobia in my head of fucking up, and basically this is like track, piano, basketball, and football all over again, because when I was younger, I'm saying, I played piano, I played basketball, played football, ran track, and when I knew that there was going to be another opportunity, and when I knew that, it was weird. Like if I knew that there was going to be come on, Dre. So when I knew that there was going to be another opportunity, I don't know. It's like it's like I relax and I just focus on the game, or I focus on that thing or like I focus on that thing I focus on that thing at hand. But for example, with first impressions, nigga, this could have been it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, this could have been it. Like, basically, this could be, they could be like, nah, you got to get back on the virtual and you got to start over again. So I got to add another 5 years to this shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? So when you have that kind of pressure on you, it's like, shit changes, man. Like, I'm glad I didn't go up there with jokes that are like newer because I would have probably fumbled them shits. But nah, that's how I always was, man. Like, if it was a big race or a big competition or like a big recital, I would always I would just get in my head and I wouldn't treat it as like it was weird. It's like I knew as I would get to this point where I think I've tried everything, but I would get to this point where I felt like I was like lying to myself, where I'm like, hey, it's just another game. Just treat it like another game. But when you see everyone there and all the lights and everyone's focused on you, it's like, nigga, this ain't no regular game. Nigga, this is the game for the marbles. So how do you trick yourself into saying, okay, every game is a Super Bowl, essentially? You know, how do you artificially raise those stakes so that you're always playing in those stakes? You know, that's something that like I'm wrestling with right now. You know, how do I always increase the stakes, right? So I googled some research papers and stuff, and I'm reading some stuff. But I got to figure this out. You know what I'm saying? And not only do I have to figure it out, I am going to figure it out. You know, I'll be alright. You know, and that's what happened with me when I played football or when I tried to walk on that temple. Right? I knew all these plays. Right? I knew the playbook like the back of my hand. I knew all the formations. I knew all these things. And I sat back and I waited. I got mad. I pouted for damn near the whole season, right? But then there was a time when all the receivers were fucking up the play. And they wanted someone who knew the play. And our specialty coach or whatever, our wide receiver coach was like, hey, Coach Andre, get in there. You know the play. And I'm like, this is my shot. This is my opportunity. And when they read the play off, it's like all the bullshit starts to kind of creep back in, right? So when they read that play off, man, it sounded like that nigga was speaking German in the huddle. Like, I can see the play on paper, you know, and then you can like kind of like sound it out. But when you're in the heat of battle and these niggas rattle off that play, nigga, it sound like some straight German, nigga. I'm like, what the fuck did he even say? So I didn't even know where to line up. I didn't know if it was a pass play. I didn't know if it was a pass play. I didn't know if it was a run play. Like, so when I got thrown out there, all that pressure just mounted up, and that was my opportunity. And I think that's when, like, if I would have ran that play right, there's a good chance I'd probably see the field the following year in college. But whatever. It wasn't meant to be, you know? So, yeah, I really have to kind of get into the psychology of what to do when the pressure's on, you know? So what else, man? After the show, one of the people that like are like a big part of the show, they pulled me aside, and like I said, I got laughs on everything. Like everything I said, laughs came out. You know, I probably got like 3 laughs per joke in 3 minutes. That's like 9 solid laughs. But someone that's like, you know, a big part of the show, they have a big input to the show. He pulled me aside and was like, the first thing he said was, hey man, it happens. It happens. And I'm like, oh fuck. So I'm not sure if it was because, well, I think he listened to my set and he saw that how like I messed up the first time and this time. But I think what it was it was that, and you could tell on my face after my show or after that set that I just wasn't happy with my set. Like I was, nigga, like when it comes to comics that, when it comes to comedians that don't have a good set, like a lot of us are like we turn into cats that are getting ready to die. You know, if you ever watched a cat getting ready to die, all it does is it goes in the corner of a room and it just doesn't want to be found. Like you will not find that cat. It's gonna be in the room, but you trust me, you will not find it because it does not want it to find you. So it's kind of the same way, right? Like I was trying to just find a little place to go um, and retire, right, for the night, But I wasn't like, it was weird. Like I was in my head. But anyways, he came up to me and he was kind of like going through what he saw. He told me what he saw, whatever. And that to me at that point, it was my time to listen. Like there's always a time to talk and there's a time to listen. And whenever people are giving you feedback, I just sit back and I listen. And a lot of what he said, I agreed with. Some stuff I didn't agree with, but I mean, it wasn't like my place to argue at that time. But at the end of the day, when you have a good set, like when you have a good set, people are coming up to you, like comics are coming up to you, like, yo, man, you murdered that shit. Hey, man, good job, dog. Yeah, I didn't get that from one comic. And I'm not sure if that's because Chocolate Sundays is weird. Like a lot of comics don't watch everyone's set. Like they may go in and watch a bit here and a bit there, or unless like a celebrity comes in, like a megastar comes in, then they'll go watch the whole set. But I mean, it was weird. It was like maybe one or two comedians said, "Hey, you did good," but it wasn't like, "Hey, man, you murdered that shit. Oh man, that shit was hilarious, man. Like, oh man, you got me rolling, man. I was crying." Like it wasn't that. And even the set I did 3 weeks ago, I really didn't get that. Like, my man Jordan was like, "Oh man, you rocked that shit." As soon as I got off stage, and then the other dude that's a big part of the show, he's like, "Yeah, man, you did your thing." Gave me that real quick. And then a few other comedians were like, "Yo, man, I rock with you, man. Hey, man, yeah, man, that was some funny shit, right?" It was like small, but it wasn't like, but I wasn't swarmed. You know what I'm saying? So, and I guess I have to get out of my head of judging people, of allowing people's reactions to determine how I think I did. At the end of the day, like I know what I did, and I know what I could have done. Excuse me. So, that was that. I may have to wait another couple years to get up again. So I'm in a weird funk right now. Because like I waited. Because originally my date was supposed to be May of 2023, but then they bumped me up to December of 21. Right? So, I don't know. So like I said, I mean, all I do know is how I'm going to move forward is I'm going to keep working, keep hitting the open mics up, keep booking other shows, and one thing I'm going to do different is when I go to open mics from now on, it's like, see, I use open mics differently, right? I use open mics like a gym or like a tool, so if I'm getting ready for a show, I'm running material, which I don't like to do at open mics, but you got to do it so you get them reps in. And I'm trying to get my mental down so when I actually go perform, it's like I can knock that shit out the park, But if I don't have any shows coming up, my goal is to write a new 3 minutes every month, right, moving forward. So I kind of figured out the lay of the land, I think, for Laugh Factory and Chocolate Sundays. So if I really want to get up, I know how to get up, like, but the thing is though, is that when I get up, I want it to count, right? Like if they throw you up, people might not be listening, people might not be watching, and then now all of a sudden it's like you're burning material, right? But my goal is to every 3 months, like I'm gonna say, okay, and so for example, for the end of January, I'm gonna have a new 3 minutes, right? And I'm gonna go to these open mics or whatever during the week and work out a new 3 minutes and just see what's there, see. And here's the thing, right? Like I'm not gonna force it, right? If I feel like I have a new 3 minutes, I'll arrive to the show early, last show of the month, and then if someone for first impressions doesn't show up, I'll get up there and I'll do what I worked on for the whole month, right? But if I don't get up, I got new material in my bag that I can use for next time, But it's weird. Like I feel like I'm like, here's the thing, right? I feel like with the level of laughs that I got, like there was no like, I got consistent laughs throughout my shit, you know. But did I murder? Probably not. But there were some parts where like, I got right before that climax, But at this point, I'm kind of in a place where I have to take what I get, So like, I'm not up in nobody's face, like worrying about a grad spot or when am I going up next. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just gonna play it cool. Like I said, I'm gonna keep, because at the end of the day, like, I don't like what I saw when I was on stage. I don't like what I saw from me. So I have to fix whatever that is before I get back in their face, because I don't want to get back in their face and then really drop the fucking ball, because at that point I'll be done. You know what I'm saying? Or not with me, but they'll be done with me at that point, So, so for all things, like, what I'm saying? Like, I think that the fact that my experience and then my composure, even though I looked rattled, I didn't allow the shit to fall the fuck apart. Right? That's the takeaway, Like, that was a struggle set, man. Like, I was struggling. But like I said, like, I mean, I'm in this position right now where I really can't go to them and say, hey, do I get a grad spot? Do I get a new date? Because I don't like what I put out there. So if I don't like what I put out there, how they gonna want to give me some shit when the line is like fucking long to get up again? You know what I'm saying? So like I said, I mean, that's my plan moving forward is for the end of January, I'm gonna have, like, I have jokes that I do each month too, right? Like, I have jokes that are themed. Like, I have jokes that I can do year round, and I have jokes that I do like around a certain time of year. But I want to add new jokes of both. But my goal is to, like I said, look at the calendar, look at Chocolate Sundays, and I'm, like I said, I'm like pretty much there. Like, people know my face. I'm there, and I work for them too, kind of, not work for them. Like, I basically punch up their emails, on the side, but I'm gonna keep showing up. I'm gonna keep studying, I'm gonna keep taking class, quote unquote, and towards the end of the month, like, I'm gonna get there like a little earlier. You know what I'm saying? Last show of the month, I'm gonna get there real early with my new 3 minutes. And if a first impressions person doesn't show up, and if they give it to me, I'll take it. If not, I'll just wait for the next month. But that's kind of where I'm kind of in a whole pattern right now. But yeah, I got last, but it's like I don't think I think that I'm the type of person where I can't hide my emotions, right? Like, if you look at my face, you know what I'm thinking, right? And when I got off stage, everyone knew I didn't like my set. Like, everyone knew I was like, yo, what's wrong, Dre? Like, man, that shit was trash, man. I ain't like that shit. It didn't come out the way I wanted it, And it's weird. I got to get out of that validation shit, like it feels good when comics come up to you and like, yo, man, you murdered that shit. Yo, man, you had me dying with that. Yo, like, that feels good. But it's almost like when you're on stage, it's like when you're telling a joke, you can't really expect the laughs. Like, I mean, where people are supposed to laugh, but if they don't laugh, you got to say fuck it and move on, So that's probably like a lot of it too, But I got to work on my poker face, Like, when I get off stage, I got to be the same way. Even if I eat shit for like however much time, if I eat shit on stage, I got to come off stage and have that same face no matter what. I don't know. Like, right now, I'm probably getting too much in my head right now, but I'm just trying to work this shit out. So lessons learned, man. Let's talk about some lessons learned. So what I did this show was, I didn't even mention this part. So when I got up and did first impression 3 weeks ago, I just had 3 jokes, and I'm like, I'm doing these 3 jokes. I'm getting the fuck off stage, This week I was like, but then the weeks leading to that, I was like, man, I really got in my head. I was like, yo, do they want to see the same set, or do I show versatility, right? Do I get up there and do all three new jokes? Do I do a longer joke to show them that I have longer material? You know? So I was going to open mics and I was kind of like, just running through my jokes again to kind of see like where my confidence level was with each joke and just the response from the crowd. And then I resorted my jokes, from funniest to least funny. Not saying that, I'm not going to get up there with no garbage, you know what I'm saying, obviously. But, I rank my jokes from funniest to least funny because when you only have 3 minutes, you don't have time to build up to get to that shit you want to get to. So you got to come out swinging with your best shit, So that was something I was thinking about, right? So I didn't really have a set list. I didn't know what I was doing probably until like the weekend or the Friday before the show, which isn't a big deal, but at least I figured something. At least I got that far. But what else, man? Yeah, so I basically was playing around with like variations of sets because I don't know like what the producers or whatever thought of my first set. I'm not sure how well they thought I did. One, like the producer was like, oh wow, you look really confident up there, like, but it wasn't like, oh my God, you're so funny and oh, I'm intrigued. I didn't hear any of that, So but anyways, like I said, I study comedy shows. I study comedy shows and I study this comedy show in particular. And the one thing I've noticed in the past where I've seen where people will get up for first impressions and they'll do a tight 3 and then get off stage. I think I've only seen this happen one time, but there'll be a comic who'll get on stage, they'll do really well. Like, they'll do really well. And the audience is just like rolling. They're just going off the shit, right? And they stop at 3 minutes and then they'll come upstairs and I'll be like, yo, man, you ripped that shit, fam. That shit was hilarious, And then they'll be like, oh, thanks. And then I'll see one of the producers come up and they'll be like, yo, why did you stop? And the comic will be like, oh, well, you told me to do 3 minutes, so I just did 3 minutes. And then the producers will look at me and they'll look at me, give me like a weird look and be like, whatever, and they'll keep moving. And I'm like, oh man, it sounds like he missed an opportunity, like, so that's when I learned, from that one instance, I learned, yeah, plan for a 3 minute set, but go by the light, like if they're gonna like just respect that light when you're young, when you're trying to get into the game, because it's like if you're at the level I'm at now, like if you run the light, you is not gonna get booked, right? But if you're like a regular, you can run the light, but you might. It's just you'll get booked again, but you might have to wait like a little longer. But you got 2 shows. You're doing 2 shows, right? But this show, when you do first impressions, it's like you're ready to be seen, So I came up with all these like variations of my sets, I do my little. I have a memory process that I do all this with, and I was more focused on the variations of the set order in case things happened, right? So I'm on stage like, okay, first joke's going good, and I'm like, okay, cool. If I don't see the light, I'm doing this. If I see the light, I'm gonna wrap up with my closing joke, And then on top of that, I said, if I get there, like, what if no one shows up for first impressions? And she's like, Andre, do 10 minutes. Okay, if you get 10 minutes, what are you gonna do? Are you gonna do more of your longer bits? Are you gonna sprinkle in your shorter bits? Or how are you gonna arrange all this, right? So I'm thinking about all these different variations of sets that I'm gonna do in my head. And I never ran a complete set all the way through, right? I never took like one variant of the set that I was gonna do and just ran it through. So that's probably where I messed up, right? So moving forward, even with all my comedy shows, man, like, even the open mic, right? Like, practice makes perfect, and you got to do it when it doesn't matter, right? So, or when you think it doesn't matter. So when I go to open mics, it's like I'm actually gonna run my set before I get up, just to get in the habit of, hey, I ran through this, I know how it's supposed to go, Now, granted, you might have a heckler, or hey, you might forget some shit. You might forget that punch, but that's part of the game. You know what I'm saying? So instead of trying to run away from being afraid of missing out on a punchline or panicking when that happens, I need to learn how to embrace that. I need to learn how to embrace that. So I'm like, hey, how can I spin this to where I make it funny? And then if I spin it, how can I keep going off of this shit? Like, you know what I'm saying? And then once I do all that, if it works and if it's funnier than what I had before, how do I not want to hold on to that, right? How do I want to just let that go, Right? Like there's a quote by Denny Diderot. I think it's Denny Diderot. But it's this quote where basically his thoughts are his trumpets, right? Or his thoughts are his hose. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you gotta be so basically what he was saying was he doesn't get attached to any of his thoughts or ideas. As they come and go, he just uses them or he throws them out, And that's kind of how I need to have that kind of spirit, Like, yeah, at the end of the day, you're building a roadmap. So when you get up there, an ideal, I'm all over the place, by the way. Like, so, but I just had this idea pop in my head because I thought about this so many times. But the ideal set for me, I can't speak for all comedians, is a set to where you don't have to use any material, right? So if I go up on stage with my set that I know I'm going to do, I want to get to the point to where I'm so comfortable with that material to where I'm like, I can go play around, have fun, get laughs. And then, man, if the crowd's not feeling like the riff, if they're not feeling my conversational piece, I can, okay, let me get to the jokes, but disguise it to where I don't let them know that I'm getting into the jokes. You know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, I got to embrace, instead of trying to run away from that feeling of despair and not knowing what to say, I gotta find a way to like wish for that again, right? Like I want that opportunity to come back so I can say, you know what, no matter how bad you think I'm gonna blank or forget something, I can take it and spin it and make it seem like that was a plan all along, right? And I struggle with that in sports, like in basketball, right? Like that's why I struggle with basketball plays, because when you run a basketball play, you get the objective, but in the game, it's like you don't realize that the other defense, they're trying to prevent you from doing certain shit. So every play you run is not going to be a clean play, right? You have to like kind of work around it, So that's where I fucked up at in basketball, Like if I couldn't come off the pick a certain way, or hey, if I knew this pick was supposed to get set at this elbow and the defense was playing a certain way to where they weren't doing that, I would just like, oh shit, what do I do? You know what I'm saying? Which is why like how I wish I learned basketball plays back in the day was I wish that what they did was they had us run the play without the ball. You know what I'm saying? But I gotta get moving because I gotta get to this virtual show and then another show. But anyways, but yeah, I'm gonna get to the habit of, running my sets before I go to any show or mic, at home. I have a memory process that I do, but I have another thing. I'm gonna physically go through my memory process, in my set before I go do it, but also I need to also have the spirit of, hey, if you forget this, don't try to remember, just feel, have fun, right? And if you can get back to where you want to get back to it. If you can't, just try to ride that wave out, and that's huge to do in a 3-minute, showcase set. Like that's like jumping off a cliff, What else? Yeah, so no more drinks before sets. Like I'm not a heavy drinker, but what I felt was before I left to leave, before I left to go to my show or to go to First Impressions, I felt my nerves getting worked up. So I had me a White Claw drink. It's like a seltzer, alcoholic seltzer. It's real light, but I had one of those just to kind of like lighten my nerves a little bit, calm my nerves. And then when I got to the factory, I got my wine. I only had like one glass of wine before I went up, to try to calm me even more. But I'm gonna cut that shit out. Like when I get up on stage, no drink show. After the show, I'll take a drink. But before the show, like no drinks, man. Like I just wanna rule that out. I'm not saying that's why I fucked up, but I just wanna rule everything out. You know. Then I need to do a better job of finding a corner to go hide in, right? Like I need to just find a corner to be left alone, right? Like I feel like there was a lot going on before the show. They were doing like interviews and stuff in the VIP area. So typically I would be on that couch in the back or somewhere else, but I need to do a better job of finding a spot and just, you know, kind of like watching around, looking around in the room, you know, putting my earbuds in and kind of just listening to music and listening to jokes or whatever that I've done before in the past. But yeah, I need to do a better job of that so I can stay focused, because my focus I don't think was there. 3 weeks ago when they told me I was going up, I kind of found like a little corner and I kind of just went through the jokes in my head. And then I had a glass of wine too then, by the way, because I didn't know I was even going up. So I did that, came down, things worked out better. But now I have to really make sure that I find my little corner to be left alone. No drinks. And then I need to actively do a better job of listening to this show before I go up. Like I need to say, okay, what is this person talking about? Cool. First joke, boom. What is, like, just kind of, right? I need to be in and out mentally in the show, because you need to focus on your set, but you also need to make sure that you listen to the show to find out what's going on, to find out what you can and can't do. Because I feel like it's a trap to where if you listen to the show and then you forget you're going up, now it's like, oh shit, what am I doing? I forgot. You know, so you don't want, so you have to kind of be in that middle state, you know, the middle ground state. What else? I think I need to physically like work out like before the show, like not right before the show, but like no more than a day before the show. But I need to make sure that I'm working out and I run to just burn stress, because I didn't work out for the past like two weeks, I don't think, you know. And I think that once you build up that tension, you gotta release that shit. So, you know, your brain isn't so clogged up, you know, or the brain doesn't get so clogged up, you know what I mean? What else? I need to drink more water, I think, during the set. So I'm not during my set, but I need to drink more water, period. You know, maybe that might clear up some cobwebs. And then also I need to like lean into my emotion more, right? Like whatever I'm feeling, I need to tell the joke in that emotion, you know, because I can do all my jokes different ways. It's still the same joke, but I could tell it being angry. I could tell it being fearful. I could tell it being however, you know. So I need to be more engaged and more focused on my emotions and just be honest instead of trying to get up there and act and fake something, you know. One thing I think I'm going to do too is I'm going to stop watch. This is weird, but I need to probably like not watch competitive sports before a major event like this. You know what I'm saying? Because the night before I watched the Nunez fight, or I watched the UFC. I think it was 269. It was Manny Nunez versus the Venezuelan Vixen, and then Charles Oliveira and Dustin Poirier, right? And they were both upsets. Like those fights were huge. Like my heart was racing, and then in my mind I'm thinking, shit, if they can fuck up, I can fuck up, right? So I kind of got in my head a little bit, I guess, you know. And then the Bills had the late game on Sunday. I didn't watch like the game. I watched like the last couple minutes in overtime, and it was weird. Like my focus was on that, you know. And I feel like my adrenaline gets going, and then it's like you see these players on the big stage, on the big moment. You know, maybe I need to watch more of that kind of stuff. I don't know, but I gotta play around with that. But I'm probably just gonna do shit that's like calming and relaxing, you know, just to relax myself, you know. I got a lot of rest. I got a lot of sleep. Everything was organized. I mean, I didn't rush out the door. I took everything serious, you know. So, and shout out to my man E. My man E dropped me with some good knowledge, man. He was like, as I told him everything that was going on, he was like, yo, he was like, he said calculating takes away from the art, right? So how I was like kind of planning out my set and coming up with all these different variations of what set I was going to do, and if I didn't get a light at this time, I'm going to do this. He's like, man, you calculating, you know, and when you calculate things, it takes away from the art. And on stage, I'm doing art, you know, so I need to probably take that to heart and focus on that more, you know, and just being honest with this shit, you know. So I feel like I've dwelled on this enough. I'm kind of over it now. It is what it is. Like, because my expectation was I wanted to go in there and have them be like, yo, oh yeah, Dre's a problem. Yo, we got to get him up more. You know, that's what I was hoping for, but it didn't happen. But also, I didn't completely fuck up. You know, got to go back to the drawing board, and start scratching all over again. You know, but I was gonna say something else too. Excuse me. Yeah, the one thing I did that I liked that I did. This is the one thing that I did, right? So I had an open mic yesterday. And I was really in my head. I was like, the best thing to do after you have a set that you don't like or that you don't feel good about, or fuck it, even if you feel really good about your set or if you feel really bad about your set, the best thing to do is just to go somewhere else and just get up as fast as possible. Just get up, right? Just be a part of the process. You know what I'm saying? Just, you know, you don't want to get in a situation where like you're holding a house of cards and you're afraid to fumble the shit. You know what I'm saying? So one thing I liked that I did was I went to a mic, but right before I left to go to my open mic, I was like, fuck this, I'm running my set over again. The set that I was supposed to do at First Impressions. And I wore the same socks, I wore the same shoes, I wore the same clothes, I wore the same everything. And I went up there and ran my set like a G, you know what I'm saying? It was like, there were some comedians in there, like, you know, it was kind of like it was a light, there were listening comedians in there, you know, and when I got up there and ran my set, they were like, oh shit, that was funny, like that shit was good, you know. So I'm glad that I did that because it kind of helped me get over that funk of having a set that I wasn't too proud about. So that's one thing that I like that I did. Like, I'm not afraid to, like, I wasn't afraid to get back up there again in the same clothes and do the same shit, you know, but do it differently, you know. So anywho, got to get out here in a second, but let me do this right quick because I got to do some self-promotion and shit. Oh, by the way, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. You know what I'm saying? Kermit the Frog, the comment section. You know what I'm saying? Do all that fun stuff. I don't block any comments, so if any of you trolls want to say some foul shit, say your foul shit. I'll address it, or maybe I won't. I don't know. Say what you want. But I want to make sure I promote this because this is what's next on deck for me. Right? This was a great way to end out my year. If they let me get in here. Okay, let me just do it this way. This will probably be easier. Let me I gotta hurry up because I gotta get into the show. Okay, where's my, see, I'm still getting used to this, so bear with me, guys. Excuse me, let me just put this, go to my eardrop. Okay, maybe if I take this off. Let me take that off. Okay. Nothing. Oh, I know why. I'm being an idiot. Here we go. Then let me do this. And then let me do that. Let me do this. Here we go. Got the right one. I don't want to do that. Shit. Here we go. Let me do this. Let me do that. I can just do it this way. Being stupid. Where am I at? Here we go. Nope. Nope. Here we go. Man, this is something, isn't it? All this technology. Yeah, put that. Got it. There we go. Okay. So I think it should be in my downloads folder. And of course it's gonna do this stupid shit here. So let me go to my downloads. Yeah, there it is. Okay, so let me go ahead and do this. Back to my downloads. There it is. So, okay, did it do it? How come it didn't drop it in there for me? Interesting. Okay, so it's not coming up for me. Damn it. Man. 1 second, let me try something else. 1 second. Let me actually get rid of this. Maybe there's a filter in here or a buffer. Now let me try it and see what happens. Nope. Let me just drag this to my desktop. And let me go for my desktop now. Where's my desktop? Let me try it now. Hold on, bear with me 1 second. Still no go. This is very weird. Is the name too long? Okay, I'm not gonna mess around with it. Anywho, we're nearing the end of the show. Put my screen capture here. Then I can drag this down to the bottom. Oh, you can't even see my ass. Okay, 1 second. Come on, Dre. Let me get them. There we go. Put this at the top. There we go. Got that on there now. See if I'm lucky with this. Nope. Man, this joint does not want to add. Okay, anywho, I got another big opportunity coming tomorrow night. So coming up, I got Crack 'em Up Thursdays at the Comedy Store tomorrow night, 8 p.m. If you go to my social media, AT is where it's at on all forms of social media. You'll be able to find all my upcoming shows and where I'm going to be at. So I got Crack 'em Up Thursdays tomorrow night, and then tonight I have a last minute show I got put on. It's over in Huntington Beach. I'll be at Old World Beer Garden. I think that's how you say it. But yeah, I'll be there tonight. Late night show. Should be fun. But anyways, man, thank y'all for listening. Once again, this concludes my show, Trippin with Theobold. You can find me on all forms of social media at AT is where it's at. Tell a friend and tell a friend. Hit that sub button, hit that like button. You know what I'm saying? Jam up the comment section. AT is where it's at on all forms of social media. Follow me. I'm out of here. But eat. That's all, folks.